everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Steph and today we are doing another book recommendation video. I'm so excited about this one because so many of my all-time favorites fit into this trope or like this category. Maybe because I'm a book sadist and I like books that make me feel pain. But this is gonna be like the saddest books, most emotional, heartbreaking books I've ever read. So I know a lot of people like to find a good book whenever they're in a mood to cry, you know, whenever you need a good cry, you just need emotional release. Picking up a sad book is the way to go. Not even sad, some of these just have like sad moments or like parts that made me cry. Not all of these are like sad endings, don't worry, but yeah, somehow these always end up being my favorites. So if you're interested in hearing what sad books I have to recommend today, then keep on watching. But first, let me talk to you about today's sponsor, which is so exciting because it's book of the month. It's a super popular and fast-growing book service for readers, and their mission is to provide new and emerging authors and help readers discover new books that they'll love. So basically their team vets hundreds of books every month and gives the readers a curated list to choose from, full of new and early releases. That way you can spend more time reading and less time researching. And book of the month is also risk-free, so you can skip any month and you won't be charged. And I have 5 new books to show you, kind of little mini haul from book of the month. They have the best prices for hardcover fiction books. They're only $9.99 for a hardcover nice book, so you can use my discount code so you can get your first book for only $9.99. I'm now going to show you the books I got. So this is the box it would come in this blue box. How cute is that? And oh, I already opened this. I already know what's inside. I have 5 books, but this is the first one. So this, if you know me, know I love the book Beach Read by Emily Henry. Another book by Emily Henry. I think this is only her 2nd book. I've been dying to get my hands on this, and when book of the month had it on the list, I was like, immediately yes, because Beach Read is one of my favorites. But this one I've heard such good things about. So excited about that. So that's the first book I got. The next one, I'm obsessed with this cover, is The Hunting Wives by May Cobb. It says, "The hunting wives share more than target practice, martinis, and bad behavior in this novel of obsession, seduction, and murder." What? Does that not sound so good? I'm very excited to read this one as well. Next, this is What Comes After by Joanne Tompkins, and it says, "Suspenseful mystery at its core, What Comes After is an unforgettable story of loss and anger, but also of kindness and hope, courage and forgiveness." Oh my god, these sound so good. I'm definitely reading these soon. Next, I got Arsenic and Adobo by Mia P. Manansala. Looks like she's cooking on that cover. This says, "The first book in a new culinary cozy series full of sharp humor and delectable dishes, one of which might just be a killer." Okay, so this is also a murder mystery. I was not expecting that. And last but not least is Liberty by Caitlin Greenidge. This says, "It's an unforgettable story about one young black girl's attempt to find a place where she can be fully and only herself, coming of age as a freeborn black girl in Reconstruction era Brooklyn." Oh, this is very interesting. I'm very excited about this. So yeah, thank you so much Book of the Month for sending me these. I'm obsessed with them and I'm gonna add these to my shelves right now. And I actually have no room on my shelves, so I'm probably just gonna put them in this stack that is piling up next to my shelves. And now let's get into the recommendations for this video. This might be the most excited I've ever been to recommend books. For some reason, recommending sad books is like my favorite thing ever, because I know if it makes you cry, it's good. It evokes emotion in you. That means it's really good, in my opinion. I'm very much someone who prefers emotional reads over happy reads. I do have my happy favorites, but emotional are definitely my favorite. Starting off with a book, I posted on my Instagram story saying I was currently reading one of my new favorite books of all time, and everyone was like, "You're evil, tell us what it is." And I was like, "You have to wait till I talk about it in a video." And now is finally the time I'm going to talk about it, and it is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I was not expecting to love this book so much. I've been getting recommended this book for probably a year, maybe longer, and I always just like avoid it. Like, it never intrigued me or anything. But then thought of doing this video idea. I was like, okay, I need to read some sad books, and I remember people saying this one made you cry. Not only did it make me cry, but I just loved the characters so much. Let me explain this book. So basically, this girl Bree moves to a new town. She uproots her entire life after something super tragic happens to her and her family. So she moves to this small town in Maine. Everyone knows each other, so like seeing a new girl is like very interesting. The first day she's there, she runs into this guy. She like drops all her stuff and she gets really embarrassed, and he just walks away without saying anything. So she's like intrigued by him. She's like, why did he just ignore me? That's so weird. So she starts asking around the town about him, and she finds out that he doesn't speak. The whole town thinks he's like some weirdo dude. They're like, oh, some weird stuff has happened in his family. He's kind of a hermit, never leaves his house. No one in the town really likes him. Her dog ends up running on his property and they meet each other. It sparks this whole thing, and the characters have both been through so much trauma. That's that's what made me cry, like reading about both of their traumas and how they react to each other's traumas. And she's really the only one that understands him, and this book is very much, in my opinion, it's kind of like really good innocent boy meets like more experienced girl, but still not like a bad girl, but more experienced. And I kind of really liked it because it's like a switch up from the normal thing. So wholesome, slow burn with so much angst, but it's so emotional as well. So if you want like the best of both worlds, like angsty romance but with also the emotions, I would definitely recommend Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I love this book so much. The next book I'm going to talk about, or the next two books I'm going to talk about, are actually the books I'm currently reading right now. My best friend read them and she was bawling her eyes out, and I was like, I need it now. And that is Full Tilt and All In by Emma Scott. This is a duet. This book is about this girl named Casey, and she's in a rock band. Like, she's an electric guitar player, she's such a badass, but she's like downward spiraling, coping with drinking, has a horrible relationship with her family, kind of losing herself while like getting famous. And then she meets this such a wholesome boy. He was her limo driver. His name is Jonah. They start hanging out and getting closer, and he's like helping her figure out who she wants to be and like get sober kind of. And then they obviously have such an instant connection, but Jonah tells her he's running out of time. He doesn't have much time left. That's not even a spoiler, it's right on the back. And he's trying to avoid falling in love at all costs, but it's undeniable, their connection. Hey guys, I'm editing right now, and I just wanted to come here and say I don't think I stressed enough how hard I cried in this book. I was full on hiccuping, sobbing, like not even just like tears dripping down my face. Like I was like choking out sobs while reading this book at the end. I literally have Snapchats of me literally crying. This book. Oh my god, it hurts so bad. I was literally hyperventilating, crying. This was not just like a sad book. Like this was one that like broke my heart. I just feel like I have to stress that. And then came this one, the follow-up book, which is another romance. I loved it. I loved it so much. The author actually said that this was the book she originally wanted to write, but she needed to write the backstory romance. So obviously Jonah's running out of time with Casey, and so they have a limited time to love each other. And then this is the book after Jonah. Hey guys, me again. Here to say that this book, All In, is so good. I like it even more than the first book because it's a slow burn, slow burn, kind of forbidden, kind of secret, and you'll see why, who the romance is. It still deals with Casey from the first book and her experiencing love again, but it is so good. I just feel like I need to say that because sometimes there's like a weird stigma about a person moving on, but it's so good. It's done so well. I really recommend. I've never seen anyone really talk about these. I'm so glad my best friend recommended these to me because I'm obsessed. I'm not even done, but wow, definitely recommend, and definitely will make you bawl your eyes out. Wow. The next book I'm talking about is Bright Side by Kim Holder. I read this one a few weeks back, and boy did I sob my eyes out. There's also a duet to this book about one of the other characters, but basically this book is about this girl named Kate, and she's going off to college. She's had this childhood best friend her whole life, and the night before she leaves for college they end up sleeping together. And then she goes to college and she's like, I don't want anything to change between us. They still like FaceTime every single day, and they're like best friends. He is so charming. I love him. His name is Gus. The second book is his point of view, but this book is from the point of view of Kate. When she goes to college, she meets this guy. His name is Keller, and he's the other point of view in this book. So she's kind of still talking to her childhood best friend, but not in a romantic way. It's completely platonic. And then she starts talking to this new guy, and both of her and this new guy are super closed off. Like they are kind of avoiding being together, but he finally starts letting her in. He starts getting jealous about her relationship with her best childhood friend, and there's drama with that. But then the reason that she's not letting him in and doesn't want to have a relationship is really so heartbreaking, very impactful, and a huge plot twist. And I really enjoyed it. I got so connected to the characters. I feel like this book did a really good job of like making you feel connected to all of the characters. There's a bunch of main characters, and I just loved this book so much. I loved the romance. I loved her friendship with Gus. I loved the life lessons I learned from this. How wholesome Kate is. Like she is such a pure-hearted character, and I loved her so much, and I'll never forget this book. It was so good. Next, I'm gonna talk about The Song of Achilles. I'm not gonna go too much in depth about this because I did a whole reading vlog, so if you want to see my raw reactions, you can watch my reading vlog on this book because I literally filmed every reaction as I read this book. No spoilers until the end of that video, so you're safe. But this book is a romance based off Greek mythology, the story of Achilles and Patroclus, and it is so emotional. If you know the mythology, then you'll know what this story is going to be about and how it's going to end. But it is about two boys, obviously, and their romance in kind of a forbidden way, in secrecy, and it's so much more than a romance to me. It's just written so beautifully. Like, I feel like not even the romance is the part that got to me, it's the way it's written. Like, the quotes from this book are next level. Like, I was at a loss for words reading this book. It's so well written. I would read this book if you're feeling a bit intellectual. If you want to like read a really well written book but you still want the romance, I would definitely pick up this one. I cried so hard while reading this too, and I just loved it. Next book I'm going to talk about is by Colleen Hoover, and if you've read any of her books, you know they all will make you cry. Literally, I feel like I've never read a book by her that didn't make me cry. But I'm going to talk about It Ends With Us because I feel like I don't give this one enough love on my channel because it doesn't really fit a specific trope. But this book is so life-changing and so good. There are a lot of trigger warnings. It does have domestic violence. This book is also becoming a movie, so if you want to read it before the movie comes out, I would definitely recommend reading it. But this book is about Lily, and she meets this guy named Ryle, and they start having this romance, and it seems perfect and everything's going amazing, and it's their whole story. But then every few chapters it flashes back to Lily reading her diary of when she was in high school. She was seeing her mom, who was in an abusive relationship, and she met this boy named Atlas when she was in high school, and it was kind of like her first love or her first romance, and he ended up leaving and she hasn't seen him since, and it was like her first heartbreak. And so you see that relationship, you see the dynamic of her parents, and then it flashes forward to her current relationship and all the ups and downs with that. And the way this book ends, it obviously says it ends with us, but it's not what you think. It is so good. I have chills on my whole body right now thinking about this book. I cried so many times throughout this book out of frustration and anger and sadness and sympathy. Like, this book I feel like is so realistic, and it gets really frustrating because you're like, if I was in that situation I'd do something completely different, but like, you never really know how you would react. And seeing in her perspective, I could definitely see how hard her situation is, and I just really recommend this book. I recommend all Colleen Hoover books, but this one is so good. And on that note, I'm just gonna do two more honorable mentions of Colleen Hoover books that will definitely 100% make you sob. And this is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover, which is my favorite book of all time. I know I recommend this book all the time, so I'm not gonna go too in depth, but it's brother's best friend. Miles is so closed off from love, refuses to even engage in anything close to a relationship, and it shows Tate falling in love with him, and they're kind of friends with benefits situation that is very toxic. Every chapter flashes back to Miles' first love and why he's closed off from love now, and I was never expecting what happened to him to be what happened. Like, it is so unpredictable and so heartbreaking. I sobbed my eyes out while reading this, and I definitely recommend it. And then next is All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. This book deals with a couple, shows them falling in love for the first time, their epic romance when they were young, and then them years in the future married, their marriage is falling apart because of infertility. And this book is so sad because you see them falling in love and it's like, oh, so heartwarming, and then the next chapter you're like, oh, it's just heartbreaking seeing them fall apart. I've loved this book so much. I feel like it's so underrated, and I definitely recommend it. It will definitely make you cry. But Colleen Hoover does have like twists and turns in her books, but usually they're happy or content endings, so you don't have to worry about that. I just thought I would say that because I know a lot of people don't read these because they're like, oh, it's not gonna be a happy ending, but read them. Okay, the next book that I'm going to be talking about, you know it's coming, is A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. This book, so sad. This is young adult, so it's immaturely written, but so beautiful. I love the characters in this book so much. This book has such a big plot twist, and I can't even go into depth about what it is because that's literally what makes it sad. Similar to Brightside, the girl in this book is just so wholesome, so appreciative of life. She literally made me look at life completely different. It's friends to lovers romance. So basically, the boy moves away, and they agree to keep in contact, but randomly the girl cuts him off. He doesn't know why, and when he comes back he finds out everything that happened while he was gone and why she cut him off, and then the rest of the book is their journey struggling with that. God, it makes my chest hurt even thinking about this book. I cried for probably more than half of it. So yeah, only read this one if you are emotionally stable enough to handle it. Next book I'm going to talk about is Underneath the Sycamore Tree by B. Celeste. So basically Emery, her sister, passes away and her mom is not handling it well, so she's forced to go live with her dad that she hasn't seen in years, meet his whole new family that he lives with, and meeting her stepbrother for the first time. It's actually really heartbreaking because Emery is diagnosed with the same disease that killed her sister. So you see her struggle with that, her parents struggle with that, and her new blossoming romance with Caden. It is sad, it is really sad, but I also really enjoyed it. And B. Celeste's writing, I love her writing and I love her characters. This book is kind of enemies to lovers as well, or more like brooding, closed off boy and her like trying to get him to open up about his issues, and he doesn't know that she's sick. She kind of keeps it a secret secret from him because she doesn't know if he can handle it right now, and then when he finds out, oh, this book is really good and I definitely recommend it. The next book I'm going to talk about is one of the books that I've never fully gotten over. There's still an open wound, and I read this over a year ago, and this is part of the Sinners Estate / All Saints High series by LJ Shen. And so you kind of have to read 2 books in order to understand or be able to get the full emotions of the story. The entire series can be read as standalones. There's a total of 8 books in the series and the spin-off, and they can all be read as standalones. They're all separate romances, but they all kind of intertwine, all the same friend group and then that friend group's kids when they're grown up. So I feel like you should read them all in order. But the 2 books that really stuck with me and made me cry, so starting off with Ruckus is the first book. This is in the Sinners of Saint series, and it's about Dean and Rosie. Their romance is, this book is amazing on its own. Dean is kind of like the playboy. He sleeps around, but he's always been so into this girl named Rosie since high school. He dated her older sister, but he's always kind of been like, I like Rosie more, you know? So they kind of have this moment together when they're in high school, and then 11 years later they reunite, and he's adamant on her giving him a second chance. She's kind of reserved because she is also sick. She has other things to worry about than him. She has to take care of herself. Like it says on here, they say that life is beautiful and death a painful truth. They're right. No one has ever made me feel more alive than the guy who serves as a constant reminder that my clock is ticking. He's willing to look past that and be with her anyway, and that is their romance. That's not even the sad one. And then their son gets a book, Night. Oh my god, this book made me bawl my eyes out. I left a gaping hole in my heart for the rest of my life. This is a friends to lovers story, but you get to see the parents that you've already watched the parents fall in love, and you love his parents, and you see them in his book, and then I'm sure you can assume why his book is going to be sad now that you already heard about this one, but you get points of view from his mom and dad in his book as well. I could not recommend this series enough, but especially these 2 books, Ruckus and Broken Night. Please read them. Oh my god, it hurts my chest thinking about it. I can't. Okay, the next book I'm going to talk about is Find You in the Dark by A. Meredith Walters. This is a duet. There's a second book called The Light in the Shadows or something, which is also really sad. But this book is about Maggie and Clayton, and he moves to town. He's the mysterious new guy. She is intrigued by him. They have an instant connection, but quickly finds out that he has a lot of mental health issues. He's definitely struggling with his mental health a lot, and that's what makes this sad, is because their romance is so wholesome and passionate and like an epic love story, but he is constantly self-sabotaging and doing things because of things like reasons he can't control. So if you want a book dealing with mental health, I would definitely read this duet as well, but there are a lot of trigger warnings that you should look up before reading it for sure. That's the end of today's book recommendation video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope that I gave you your fix of emotional reads whenever you want a good cry. Come back to this video and pick a book, because I'm sure that these books will get you pretty emotional. But thank you so much for watching today's video. Feel free to follow me on my social medias, all linked down below as always, or if you want to send me your favorite book, my Amazon wishlist is also linked down below. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in a new video very, very soon. Bye!